The Kremlin is once again threatening nuclear apocalypse.
Yesterday they conducted yet another test, an additional trial of another advanced system. This is the Poseidon, an unmanned underwater device. It also has a nuclear power unit.
A weapon that is supposedly more powerful than the Sarmat and anything else in the world. And even the much-touted Burevestnik, which was just unveiled, falls short in comparison.
This is a huge success because, well, in addition to all the advantages I mentioned regarding the Burevestnik, here too the dimensions are minimal. The power of the Poseidon, a truly remarkable weapon, greatly and significantly exceeds, even by a notable margin, that of our most advanced and sophisticated intercontinental missile, the Sarmat. Moreover, in terms of speed and the depths at which this unmanned device operates, there is nothing like it in the world, and it is unlikely that anything comparable will appear anytime soon. There are no interception methods.
Kremlin mouthpieces immediately picked up on this, spreading all sorts of horror stories, claiming that this is a doomsday weapon and that it's time to bow down to Putin.
There is supposedly no way to stop this underwater drone. It is said to carry a warhead with a yield of up to 100 megatons. The detonation of this thermonuclear torpedo off the coast of Britain would create a giant wave, a tsunami up to 500 meters high.
All of this was a response to US sanctions, as if to say, look, we are a powerful state and can wipe anyone off the face of the earth. Trump was not impressed. On the contrary, he showed that this game can be played by two.
In connection with the testing programs conducted by other countries, I have instructed the Department of Defense to begin testing our nuclear weapons on an equal footing. This process will begin immediately.
Why did the US treat this so-called superweapon so carelessly? And what exactly is this Poseidon that can supposedly wipe Britain and the US off the face of the earth? And is it really capable of that? Arsenal is ready to tell you everything about the Kremlin's new Wunderwaffe and why Putin has messed up again. Don't mess it. Let's get started. As with any other Kremlin Wunderwaffe, the idea of creating a deadly torpedo is nothing new. It dates back to the 1950s. At that time, the Soviet Union dreamed of creating a giant torpedo to strike the US coastline. To do this, they also needed to build a special submarine. The project was called T-15. But in 1955, work on this deadly weapon was halted. In the Soviet Navy, a submarine that could carry only one torpedo was considered impractical. Afterwards, they tried several times to revive the project, but without success. That was the case up until around 2015. In that year, the Russian dictator approved a new naval doctrine. A couple of months later, in a federal TV report about a meeting on the development of the military-industrial complex, documents were shown featuring the image of the Oceanic Multipurpose System, Status 6. It would later become known as Poseidon. Putin himself unveiled this wonder weapon in 2018. The torpedo, like the Burevestnik, was included in the list of Russia's so-called superweapons. At the time, the Russian dictator praised the torpedo and claimed that the world should fear the Kremlin. But just a year later, Putin's secret weapon faced disaster.
In 2019, a disaster occurred on the unique AS-12 Losharik submarine, which, according to one version, was practicing interaction with various weapon systems, simulating the still non-existent doomsday weapon, the Poseidon project and its carriers, the nuclear submarines BS-136 Orenburg or BS-64 Podmoskovye.
The accident claimed the lives of 14 submariners. The Losharik itself was reportedly towed back to base, but since then, no one has heard anything about it. Now, however, Poseidon has supposedly passed its tests. There is no video. You just have to take Putin at his word.
For the very first time, it was not only possible to successfully launch the device from the carrier submarine by means of the booster engine, but it was also possible to initiate and activate the nuclear power unit, upon which the device operated for a certain period of time. This is a huge success because, well, in addition to all the advantages I mentioned regarding the Burevestnik, here too the dimensions are minimal. Here, if over there it's 1,000 times smaller than a nuclear reactor on a submarine, here it's 100 times smaller than a nuclear reactor on a submarine.
The specifications of the torpedo are, as expected, shrouded in secrecy. Everything is strictly classified, just like the potential targets for Poseidon.
This is an underwater drone that independently travels underwater, reaches the coast of the United States, and then detonates a nuclear explosion of monstrous power, after which, a tsunami occurs that supposedly washes away all of America.
Even if we believe that the torpedo really exists, accomplishing such a goal is beyond Poseidon's capabilities. This has been known since the days of the USSR.
It's absolute nonsense and unscientific at that. In some cases, it's impossible to trigger a tsunami with a nuclear explosion. Tsunamis are caused by forces completely beyond human control. They're not even fully within our understanding.
Soviet research institutes modeled such explosions on Lake Ladoga and later on Novaya Zemlya. The studies showed that the continental shelf absorbs most of the energy. Powerful waves dissipate quickly, making large-scale coastal destruction physically impossible.
But let's suppose that now Russia doesn't want to trigger a tsunami, but is simply threatening destruction from the torpedo itself and nuclear radiation. Even in this case, there are still plenty of questions about the Poseidon test.
The most important thing, as Putin said, is that they managed to launch the nuclear power unit, and supposedly it operated there for some time. Some time could mean 30 seconds, or it could be an hour, for example, right? That's the first thing. Second, what does it mean that they managed to launch it? Did you actually test it, or did you just start it up with a push? Right now, he's openly trying to play his old worn-out trump cards. We have the Sarmat missile. It's not ready, it doesn't fly. We have the Burevestnik missile. Something is flying there, but it doesn't seem to be the one. We have the Poseidon torpedo. Be afraid of us. Let's negotiate. So the whole world to dust will destroy the whole world.
But after Trump's statements about testing American nuclear missiles, the Kremlin's fervor cooled down. They backed down there. They said they weren't threatening anyone with a nuclear club. Neither the Burevestnik tests nor the Poseidon tests are nuclear.
We hope that the information was properly conveyed to President Trump, in the sense that this cannot in any way be interpreted as nuclear tests.
What do you think of the Kremlin's latest Wunderwaffe? And what do you think Putin embarrassed himself with more, the Burevestnik or the Poseidon? Share your opinion in the comments and don't forget to like this video. And subscribe to our Arsenal channel so you don't miss any of the most interesting content.